Hey guys, so James Comey, former director of the FBI, has released a 5-minute video to his Substack explaining his deep and abiding passion for Taylor Swift's music. This is totally serious. This is a video about how much he loves Taylor Swift and about how he uses her music as a source of strength and political inspiration. So let's get into it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my Substack. Last week's cold turns out to have been COVID, quite a flashback. And Donald Trump is still president and still humiliating America on a national stage, standing next to Vladimir Putin. It's like a dream, a bad dream you can't wake up from. But I don't want to talk about that bad dream this week. I want to talk about a truly inspirational public figure named Taylor Swift. Of course, I watched her podcast interview with the Kelsey brothers. Of course, I watched the whole thing, although on YouTube, Patrice and I got kicked off for the last 15 minutes and finished it on her phone. But I watched it. You see, Taylor Swift and I go way back. I went to my first concert of hers 15 years ago. I've been to a second, and I have helped financially support the attendance of a lot of family members at others. I'm in a family's Swiftie group chat. I know all her music, and I listen to it in my headphones when I cut the grass. So yes, I have a favorite of hers, although honestly for me it's a tie between All Too Well, 10-minute version, and Exile featuring Bon Iver. Taylor Swift has grown up with my family and provided us a soundtrack, really, as we've grown ourselves and learned and adapted and dealt with adversity and celebration. She had songs for all of it. I suspect that's something that millions of Americans have also experienced in their families. I think that's because Taylor Swift produces great art, but also because she models something. At every stage of her career, she's shown a certain way of being that resonated with my kids.
How on earth was this person the director of the FBI? I mean, it actually calls into question the seriousness of the entire institution when a guy like this is running the show. It's amazing because if you think back to a decade ago, this guy was still fairly well regarded. I mean, he was supposed to be a serious person, and he's spent the last decade just disabusing all of us of that notion. I mean, his social media use basically only functions to humiliate himself on the national stage. So you'll remember that he had that very strange Instagram post with the seashells, 8647, and after there was a probe into whether he was threatening violence against the president, he said, no, my wife and I just stumbled across the shells and I thought it was interesting. And I happened to take a picture. So this guy is a total fraud. I don't know who's taking him seriously at this point. And a video like this should be all the proof that you need that the establishment is not sending their best, okay? I'm sorry, Swifties, but no man over the age of 15 should use that word. Honestly, maybe no one should use that word. It sounds a little stupid coming out of my mouth, too. But certainly any adult man that is seriously delivering a spiel about the virtues of Taylor Swift needs to be put away from political life, needs to retire forever.
It also felt right to me as a parent, and she's still doing that as a grown-up. Like a lot of you, I struggle with how to stand up to bullies without letting their meanness infect me and change me. You may have seen that the governor of California has been generating a lot of attention lately by posting on social media in a satirical way where he mocks Donald Trump and his all-caps megalomania and his absurdity. And I find it very funny, hilarious even sometimes. But I gotta be honest, it also leaves me with a strange feeling at times because I don't want us to become like Trump and his followers. There are far more decent, honest, kind people in America than there are mean jerks. And don't get me wrong, we have our jerks, millions of them, you may have noticed. In particular, there's a stunning coarseness and ugliness in the Republican Party today. It's upsetting, but it's also a minority of America. On the whole, we aren't like that, and we don't like that. I think that's a big part of the reason so few Americans support Donald Trump when they have to see him and that up close. and why Republicans are so worried about what's coming for them next year.
Comey is so pathetic. He is such a joke, and I can't believe that this video is real. I'm sure he would accuse me of bullying for my comments on it. I don't mind being called a bully because I don't know how you bully a 50-something-year-old man in a position of incredible prominence. I mean, framing what's happening in that way as bullies picking on the little guys is just so absurd. Liberals were culturally dominant for a very long time. I mean, they had complete control of the institutions, and if you had any sort of thought that was contrary to their orthodoxy, you were shunned, and the consequences were very, very serious. You could lose your job, you could be kicked out of school, or, you could just be completely socially isolated. I mean, you could even go to jail in some circumstances if you, say, flouted some of the ridiculous lockdown regulations. Comey is doing the whole basket of deplorables Hillary Clinton shtick, which didn't work out great for her, and I don't think it's going to work out great for him. I mean, to castigate half the country as basically irredeemable is just not a good election strategy, and his analysis makes zero sense. I mean, if people dislike Donald Trump so much, why did he win the popular vote? Unless Comey is an election denier. I don't know. But his entire attitude in this video is so disgusting and off-putting. I mean, it's like a really bad speech from the Disney Channel. Like, he's gonna talk down to you in language that's comforting, but understandable, simple words. He's gonna use a pop culture figure because he's hip like that. The whole thing is just such a revealing production of who Comey is, and it's a very vain person, I think.
And to be clear, I am not an advocate for weakness. Of course we need to stand up to jerks and defend what matters. But I think we have to try to do that without becoming like them, which is what makes me think about Taylor Swift. She's made clear that she sees Donald Trump for what he is. And last year she urged Americans not to make the serious mistake of electing him. Of course, we're now living with the consequences of that mistake, but while our elderly makeup-covered president is posting about whether Taylor Swift is still hot and declaring that he can't stand her, what's she doing? Living her best life, producing great music and, as she urged all of us to do during the podcast, not giving the jerks power over her mind. She said something about dealing with internet trolls that stuck with me. Think of your energy as if it's expensive, she said. As if it's like a luxury item. Not everyone can afford it. I really enjoy reading Arthur Brooks, who writes columns about happiness in The Atlantic.
Okay, before we segue to The Atlantic, I mean, he is reciting the words of Taylor Swift as though he's invoking Cicero or something. This is so ridiculous. Part of what makes this video so weird, too, is that I think Comey is reading off a script. His eyes kind of have this glazed stare the whole time, and he's just looking forward. But some of the things that he's reading are these, like, canned millennial aphorisms. She's living her best life. Slay, queen. I mean, it's... It's so weird. It would be pathetic for any middle-aged man to post something like this, but when it's the former director of the FBI, you almost have to wish that his kids would take his phone away, or his wife, or someone would tell him, hey, James, this is not in your best interest. On the other hand, I think it is in the public's best interest because we're getting very intimately acquainted with what this guy is really like, and what he's really like, it seems, is a complete fraud.
I don't know if he's a Swiftie, but last week he wrote about research on the way that being rude or snarky actually hurts the rude person. As he wrote, when you become less polite, the alteration in your conduct can make you less happy, more depressed, and angrier about life. I know you get that even without the research. Just watch Fox News or hang around on X and you'll see what he means. We can't stop people from being jerks. What we can do is stop it from hurting us, from changing us. At my second Taylor Swift concert in Hartford, Connecticut, 14 years ago this summer, she sang a song about this topic, asking, "Why you gotta be so mean?" And she spoke directly to the nasty people. I bet you got pushed around. Somebody made you cold. But the cycle ends right now, because you can't lead me down that road. You'll be glad I didn't sing that. That's right, because down that road is unhappiness. Nobody should have that power over us.
Well, I'll tell you what, James, I'm having a whole lot of happiness and fun making fun of you right now, and I think many other people on X feel the same way. Who's to say that making fun of a total stooge can't be a great bonding moment for the public? But his contention is obviously absurd. Turn on MSNBC, turn on CNN, you're gonna see plenty of vitriol, you're gonna see calls for ICE agents to be demasked. I mean, I was recently walking around in DC and I came across this big protest against law enforcement, and the people there didn't seem too happy. I mean, they were throwing out plenty of jabs. So I think Comey's analysis needs a little bit of work, as does his taste in music. But what do you think about Comey's admiration for Taylor Swift? Let me know in the comments section below. Give this video a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.